What's up, everybody? I'm Scott,
I'm Jason.
and you're listening to Liquid Carnage. How are you, my friend?
Oh, I'm doing better now. We're recording. We get to put it out to the people. We
We
always
we are
love
not.
doing that. We love putting out to the people.
It's true. We are not frozen, like certain parts of the country that never freeze.
Wow, that just sounded bad. We put out to the people. That's not
Yeah.
that is something we don't do on a regular basis.
In our younger days, we used to put out to the people.
Oh my gosh, 10 years ago, when we were going through pictures for your birthday,
Uh huh.
we came across a bunch of pictures from your 30th birthday, dude.
Were we okay? Maybe you can fill in the blank. Were we in Vegas for that?
Um, I don't know where we were actually. We just looked at them and we looked so young.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, dude! I was 38. You were 30. I mean, it was insane. It
Yeah,
was
because
absolutely insane, bro.
Janice and I were talking to us. She asked what I did for my 30th, and I honestly couldn't remember.
Well, I'll try to find the pictures and try to get them to you because they brought up really fun times. But I'm reading an interesting book and they were talking about it's talking about technology and how we get into this facade that technology helps us and makes our lives that much better, but in reality, if we look at our lives, is our life really that much better?
No,
Like,
it's worse.
and one of the things they were saying is people are so focused on taking the picture of a moment instead of just living the moment.
Yeah.
And I feel like that sometimes, like you take a picture and it's like, oh, look at him posing for it. Okay, look how instead of just saying, what, I'm gonna enjoy the moment, and it's okay that the moment might be fleeting, that it won't be here anymore.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I'll be the first to admit I'm terrible about taking pictures, and I'm actually okay with that because I would rather be in the moment than be trying to refocus on getting a picture to keep that moment. Because in 5 years you might not remember what that picture even was unless it was just that special.
Yeah, he quoted a Buddhist saying that says that the beauty of something does not require its preservation. And
Yeah,
they're basically talking. He was, the saying was basically saying that sometimes things are beautiful because they're momentary and then they're gone.
that's it. That's exactly it. I mean,
So,
nothing lasts forever.
right. Yeah.
Even in the cold November rain.
Even in the cold November rain. That's right.
We're,
So,
we're gonna get
yeah.
a note on that one.
But
No Guns N' Roses references.
now,
Sorry, that's my
that
bad.
being said, I do have some pictures that I want to show you of your 30th.
Okay, yeah, I would love to see them.
We
Yeah.
did capture a moment. And sometimes we do a lot of drinking back in our younger days.
Mm-hmm.
You and I tied some on for a while there in our earlier days.
We did. We've had a
Luckily,
lot
we
of
don't do it
moments.
anymore.
Yeah, that's true. We don't
Well,
do it like we used to.
we don't do it any less either.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
anyways, so it helps for jog the memory because some of those, like especially my 40th,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of moments that I don't recall.
We recall a lot of your 40s. I mean, Noreen did a bang up job for
Yeah.
your birthday, and you passing out, waking up to Justin Bieber on your ceiling. I think was just a classic moment.
I'm just glad I took my shoes off before passing out.
Yeah, that's true. Otherwise, you'd had a dick on your face too, and
Oh
one
my
drawn,
gosh. I don't
one
know if
also
people
drawn on
know
your
that, but
face.
that's our rule in our group that if you pass out with your shoes on, uh, you have no being dicked on your face.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you are a fair game to any kind of just jokes,
Yeah.
or what have you.
Yeah,
So
both
wear flip
artistic
flops.
dicks and literal dicks. I mean, that's how
Yes,
bad our group is.
yes, that's true. Well, that's pre-COVID, so now it might be a little different, but probably not that different.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, it's just been a crazy season. Spring is in the air. Spring training baseball is starting, and it's exciting because that means it's getting warmer, it's getting lighter, it's staying lighter out later. It's just that special time of the year, man. I love spring.
you know what I
You know,
think you know what I think we should do? I
Huh.
think, we should let our whole state freeze over and let's go to Cancun.
Oh, we should.
Let's do it. Let's
You
totally
know,
do it.
we could probably do that because we're not in a position of political power. That's pretty big alliteration right there. But we're not in a position of political power. It's you talk about one of the. I'd like to say it's one of the dumbest things in recent history, but I'm not even sure it's top 10 to be honest with you for 2021.
I mean, not to digress. I mean, I know that we were probably going to talk about spring training or something, but can you? I just don't understand some of these politicians. Like they preach at the highest levels on all the news and from the highest. You need to do the right thing, and they're so quick to judge, and then you do something that's kind of insensitive
Yeah.
to other people, and then you try to talk your way out of it, and you just make it worse.
Yeah, and I feel like that, that's an allegory for a lot of things that happen in life, where you do something wrong and you try to apologize for it to the masses, and you give a bullshit reason, and those close to you, or those that anybody with common sense can look at your reasoning and say, that's bullshit. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Well, and like in this example with this politician, I mean, he gives a story, and then of course people, either because of him or just in general, don't buy it. So they do more research, and then they find out more truth that says you're lying to us. So you've lied the first time, and now you're lying to us again. So
Yeah,
it's just like a perpetual, a
cycle.
perpetual ball that keeps getting bigger and bigger, to the point now where it's like no one's going to believe whatever you say. You know.
Yeah, and I think at a certain point, though, some of these people that can lie like that start to believe their own lies. And when you start to believe your own lies, we see this a lot these days, especially with the power of the internet and people backing you up with whatever, experts, they quote unquote experts, they have supporting their reasoning. I think that makes people more dangerous, because that in their minds that justifies them.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point, because you make your decisions based either on your head thinking your way through a decision, or your heart, or some people got a gut decision. You go to your
Mhm.
gut, and it just tells you what to do. And I feel like that some people, like for example, this politician, he thought in his head, okay, I kind of screwed up. I need to take, lessen the blame. So I'm going to think through this. I'm going to come up with an excuse. So I want to be a good daughter or father to my daughters. But then you're lying, or you're not telling the whole truth. So people find out more truth. And then you got to think up another issue
Yeah.
or another resolution. And so your mind gets you on this path of, well, if I do A, B, and C, then D will happen. Well, when D doesn't happen, oh, okay, now I've got to have a new A, B, and C to D will happen.
Hmm.
You can't do that. You can't
No,
do that.
no, I agree. I agree. It's a problem.
And
It's
like you said, I mean, when someone tells you kind of a BS excuse, it it has a longer reaching effect than just this moment.
Yeah,
It,
yeah.
it just it just leaves a bad taste in your mouth.
Yeah, I think of that, especially if you know the people personally. I think that puts a different spin on it too, because I have to imagine what in this scenario, like what his constituents are honestly thinking. Like they're freezing, their power's not working, their food's short. There's no resources for them to get, and a lot of those communities were basically told, "Well, you're Texas. In Texas, you take care of yourself. So too bad, so sad." Uh, those people are no longer in charge of those towns of Texas, but I think that mentality is a growing source of an issue in society in general, where uh, we don't feel like we have to take total accountability anymore.
Yeah, and it's almost as if that people have been so soured by the constant barrage of these let's make an excuse to make me look better, but it sounds like a bullshit excuse. So people just kind of, oh, okay, that's just a politician.
Yeah.
That they just talk like that. So you don't take them seriously because they're just a politician.
Yeah, but that goes into so many other aspects of life, though, too, where it's not just our politicians that are doing this. Where, people we know on personal levels, and people we work with. I think we've all seen this happen in some way, shape, or form, where we get uh, or we see something happen firsthand, and we know the facts to the story, and then when they recount the story later to avoid trouble, things are not portrayed as they were.
Well, have you ever, I don't know if you've experienced this, but have you ever had someone who did something wrong, but they immediately came out and were honest with you? Or they came out and said, hey, this is what happened. They feel contrite. This is what happened. People are almost like shocked and, oh my gosh, like they sympathize with the person, because even though they did something wrong, they came right out and they came to terms with it. it's like refreshing. People aren't used to that kind of behavior.
Well, I don't think you see that anymore. And I think that's part of the problem is you don't see that happen as often. I guess is a better way to put it. Nobody wants, or it seems like nobody feels like they have to take the accountability these days. I mean, it's the true measure of a person that can stand up and say, "Oh shit, well that was on me. It's my bad. I'm sorry. That won't happen again."
Yeah, I think, and I don't know what your thoughts are on this, but it's almost like people have this image where they have to be perfect. And
Yeah,
so any flaw in that perfection, immediately they look at that as, well, I have to cover that up because no one's going to respect me if I'm not perfect.
yeah, and that's not okay, man. I think everyone's fallible. Everyone should know that. And it's better to you can. It's what's the age old saying? What is it? If you tell a lie, you're telling a lie the rest of your life. If you tell the truth, you tell the truth once.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I think from early days, right? Your parents would tell you the story of the boy who cried wolf, or that like you said, you don't lie, because if you tell the truth, your story will never change. If you
Yeah,
lie, your story is going to change.
yeah,
And the people that come up with my word is stronger than oak, that used to mean something.
yeah. But
There was no such thing as a contract 1,000 years ago, right? I mean,
yeah,
you basically, hey, I'm going to do this for you, you're going to do this for me. We my word meant something.
yeah. But I think again that comes down to the idea that with the invention of the internet and technology, that we feel justified that we can come up with excuses or reasonings as to why things didn't happen the way people thought they did, and make that our reasoning behind everything.
Yeah, and I don't know. I always feel like so ingenuous when I hear someone, they let's say it's a financial crime,
Mm-hmm.
they built people out of millions of dollars. Then after they get caught, oh, I feel really bad. I feel really bad. I don't believe a
You
word
think
you're saying to me.
you think Bernie Madoff feels bad? No,
No, no. He feels
no.
bad because he got caught and had to spend the rest of his life in prison.
Yeah, yeah. He had no problem
Yeah.
bilking all those people for all that money along the way.
And
So
it always starts off small, right? Like
yeah,
you have the I truly feel that many of these people do not have the intention of robbing someone or taking someone's money. I think they really have the intention that they're going to do something good. They're going to help people out. I really do. And then something doesn't go their way. And so instead of just listening to your heart and saying, look, I screwed up, then they go and try to, well, okay, I'm going to fix the problem, right?
yeah,
I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to fix it. And then that way everything will be fine. And then what happens? It gets worse. And now it's
yeah.
snowballing again.
And once you start exacerbating the problems like that, that's when there becomes a point of no return.
Well, and like, I mean, there was a story, I don't know, maybe 20 years ago, where a guy was trading in a very volatile stock, some sort of stock product in the Philippines for a huge, the longest run British bank in the history of Britain, the oldest bank in
Mm-hmm.
Britain. And he did that. He played a trade. It didn't go well, so he lost money. So instead of just saying, "Hey, look, I lost a little bit of money, and we need to overcome it," he tried to make other trades to make the money back. And the losses got so big at the end that the bank actually went under.
It's the Vegas theory.
What's
You
that?
know, if you lose big on the first hand, you figure, well, if I play it like this with other hands, I'm bound to get lucky and make that money back. And that you see that happen more times than not. Maybe not on that level with the oldest bank in Britain, but you see that happen with people's life savings or nest eggs or what have you, all the time.
Yeah. And you might have said it best. It's easier to listen to your heart 100% of the time than it is to listen to your heart 98% of the time.
Well, that 2% gets you fucked in a
Well, yeah, the
good way.
2% is what gets you in trouble, right? Like,
Yeah,
and how many people have had these amazing careers, and one mistake or one, false word, or a lie, let's call it as what it is, totally derails a lifetime of work.
yeah, Right.
So I, I think we've both, been around people where they give you some lame ass excuse of, well, I'm really sorry this happened, and you're just like, I don't believe you.
Yeah.
I don't believe
Yeah.
you, because if you really cared about me, you would have told me from the very beginning and you've been honest about it, instead of, oh no, it's no big deal. And then it turns out to be a big deal.
Yeah. And it's you should see that more and more today, especially with crowdsourcing when you buy stuff off the internet. When people leave reviews, I mean, you would think that you'd want to be more open and honest, because the more open and honest you are, the better your business would be on the internet because of the reviews you get.
Yeah, 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 that's probably the best way of putting it. I mean, if your word is supposed to be stronger than oak, then it has to mean something. Otherwise, it's just words. I mean, we
Oh
talked
yeah.
about that last week with the actions or words, and we kind of dodged on both issues. Like, well, I don't know, words sometimes, actions others. But you've got to, you know, if you screw up, just be honest and tell you screwed up. Most people
Yeah.
will understand. That doesn't mean that most people are going to forgive you.
Yeah.
I
But
mean, you may
but
not, some actions may not be forgivable.
but I might be an asshole. At least I'm an honest asshole, and that's the
Well,
important thing to remember.
yeah. And like you said it best. Hey, if you lose a hand in blackjack, don't go try to chase it with good money after bad.
Yeah.
Okay, I lost
Yeah.
$100. I'm done. I'm done.
Yeah. Learn when to walk away.
Exactly. So
Speaking of walking away, man, I really had no transition with that. I
wow, that
thought the
was.
conversation ran its course, and I lost my whole train of
Speaking of
thought with
walking
that.
away, I know a
Speaking of
great
walking, I'm going to walk
trail
through
up
this
in the
whole
mountains.
conversation now.
Wow.
Yeah, you are flying to Austin this week, so you are actually going into the heart of cold country. What is? Well, maybe it's not so cold anymore, but
Yeah, Noreen said that the weather was in the 50s today. So and it's weird too, because some places got hit much worse than others. Like, I guess they live in Austin, outside of Austin. And they said that the only thing they were warned about is because of some of the failures at the water treatment plants. You might want to boil your water before using it.
yeah,
So
I was watching a news article, a news show this week, and they were talking about how people don't realize how close, like Texas was within minutes of suffering enough power outages that they'd have rolling blackouts and have to boil water for the next few months.
Well, okay, so here's a perfect example. So in that very situation, when Greg Abbott, the governor of Texas, was talking about this, he was blaming the Green New Deal as the culprit of how this is going to happen.
Yeah,
Well, first of all, Green New Deal isn't even out. I don't even know what he's talking about. And second of all, Texas has been very clear that they do not want to have any government involvement in it. So right there, when people listen to that, you immediately lose your credibility, because you're
you do
talking
it.
out. I mean, you're just talking stupid.
You do with the educated person, but to the majority of the people that don't look that far into the problems, they just look at the what's the letter next to the person's name that runs our country, that runs our government. Is it an R or is it a D? And if you're not an R, or you're not going to listen to that person, or if you're a D, you're not going to listen to that person. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of these people are just taking their word for gospel, because your politicians aren't supposed to lie to you,
Well, and
we all know,
maybe
which we all know is a
maybe
lie. But
maybe that's why our politics has really gone down the tubes, is because that reverence of their why would our leaders lie to us has been so destroyed over the last 50 years, that maybe that's why our politics is so
well, that brings
tumultuous
up an
now. Is that most people do not look at our politicians with the reverence or the respect that they did during Eisenhower or
well,
during.
that brings up a good question though. Is do you think that politics was just as dirty then as it is today? We just didn't know about it because we didn't have 24-hour news cycles. We didn't have slanted news stories. We just had Walter Cronkite in the evening news. We weren't watching the Fox News, the MSNBCs, the CNNs, the OANs. We watched one of the three major networks, and what they told us is what they told us, and that's what we were to believe.
Well, it could be that. It could also be that the framework of the relayance, like how they told us what the government was doing, was
Mm-hmm.
usually geared towards something that we as a society could get behind. right?
Yeah.
Like we're fighting communism, we're fighting the depression, we're fighting the Germans in World War II. So you had
But
something that unified, that no matter what the decision a government was doing, we were doing it for a reason that people could unify behind.
the sad part is though, if you look at it, we're trying to between racism and COVID-19. We have more than enough reasons to find ways to unify our country, and we just can't do it.
Well, and it leads back to that people have lost that trust in the, as soon as you're a politician, how do you know they're lying? Their lips are moving. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Maybe it's gotten to that point where that the political structure has broken down so much because of people just not owning up to bad decisions.
Yeah, well, again, they never have to own up to the bad decisions because if you don't like the decision they made, there's 15 people on the internet that have articles describing why they made the right decisions.
And also, let's be honest. I mean, I think I get really frustrated with the large sense of hypocrisy that our current group of politicians come out with daily. That what's good for you is not good for me.
Yeah,
And
I
it's hard when I hear someone complain and bitch about how someone like the President Biden is not working well to unify the country. Well, you didn't seem to have a problem when the former president wasn't unifying the country. So why are you so, what's the difference? Oh, he's not part
because
of your political party. So now it means something. It's just,
yeah, now it's a problem. And
yeah,
you saw that in trying to dip our toe into politics, but not go straight into it. You saw that a lot today. We're recording on Monday, like we normally do. So right now, Merrick Garland is going through the judiciary approval process, the Senate approval process for the next Attorney General for the United States. For those that don't remember, he was a Supreme Court nomination 5 years ago with the last year of Obama's administration, and the Senate, which was Republican majority, did not want to confirm anybody in the president's last year. They felt it was ill-fitting, only to 4 years later do this with Amy Coney Barrett with 5 weeks to go in the Trump administration. So Merrick Garland is President Biden's attorney general nominee, and I found it interesting that we allowed such senators as Ted Cruz and Josh Hawley, considering their involvement in the insurrection last month, to allow them to question Mr. Garland on his ethics and how he would handle things.
yeah, and but then again, it all comes back down to, if you look at in our society, um, what is that famous saying? Good guys finish last. People who are honest and work hard and just, they're ones get screwed.
Yeah,
They're the ones that get screwed. Like I think about all those people that worked in Enron, just the normal workers who put all their money into the Enron stock and their 401ks, and because of the unethical actions of the leaders of that company, they lost everything. Now, what did they do wrong to deserve this? What did they do wrong? And how many people, maybe Merrick Garland will get through and he'll be a good attorney general, but yeah, Mr. Cruz, why are you questioning my ethics? Who are
yeah,
you to question my ethics about what kind of person I am? But good guys finish last.
yeah. That's part of the problem. It's
And this is a shout
yeah.
out to all the women. Hey, stop going after the bad boys, man. That's wrong. Go after us good guys.
What's funny is I learned a new term for that. The guys who are too nice are called simps now.
Simps.
Yeah.
What's that mean?
Apparently they're too simple. It's too simple to deal with them, so they're just simps.
All I know is that I don't feel bad for the ladies that go after the bad guys and then the guys totally destroy their lives, and it's like, oh, see, that's why you
Yeah,
don't go for bad guys. They're bad.
now that I'm in my 40s and I see how the game gets played on so many different levels, it's funny to me. It's it's one of those. You see some of those women go off for the bad boys, whatnot. You're like, all right, well, you'll be back in this cycle of trying to get out of a bad relationship and looking for someone you think is quote unquote nice, anywhere from 6 months to the next year. So you just enjoy yourself and you do
Yeah, no, I get it, and it kind of leads back to that whole thing of At what point do they go from being the bad guy that I want to love to the bad boy that I just can't stand anymore? I don't know
Yeah.
where that line is, but there's something that happens where uh, Jeff Foxworthy said it best when he was talking about bad boys. He goes, the problem is that you always want a bad man, until you find yourself on Cops in a tube top saying, "You best not touch my cigarettes, woman."
Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's people don't realize that's the case until that's the case. Everyone. I think a lot of women think they can change a man, and I think you don't start finding real happiness until you realize that you can't try to change somebody. You have to accept them for who they are. Have to accept you for who you are. And that's the biggest goal in life.
I used to always think, and maybe I'm wrong, but I used to think that men see women as what they are, and women see men as what they could be.
Yeah.
And like men are more focused on looks, right? I mean, like everyone wants to have a really good looking woman as they're on their side. No one says, "Man, I want to go for the really nice girl who doesn't look that pretty." No guy ever wants to say that. Where I've seen plenty of women go for guys who are not the best looking guys, but maybe they're smart, or maybe they're funny, or maybe they just treat them right.
Yeah. I guess to each their own. But some people just learn the lessons the hard way.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes longer than it takes others longer, longer than others to really understand what's going on.
And I will say that I do, as I've gotten older, I really appreciate just when I make a mistake, just own the mistake.
Yeah.
It's so much easier. I mean, and let's be honest, everyone's going to make a mistake. So anyone who listens to the podcast this week and thinks I've never made a mistake,
no, just admit you have.
Yeah,
you
have to refer this podcast to 25 people.
Yeah,
there we go.
Yeah,
that's great.
Take the hit and move on.
Yeah, just take the hit and move on. When you read the story of the Scarlet Letter, I don't know if you read the book The Scarlet Letter.
No, but I've seen plenty of spinoffs of the movie.
Okay, well, in the book, one of the telling parts about the book is Hester Prynne is the female who has to wear the Scarlet Letter, indicating that she committed adultery.
Mm-hmm.
But what happens is that as she bears this to her community, over time, people actually sympathize with her because it's difficult to bear that to everyone. It's difficult in the beginning to say, "I made a mistake, I screwed up." People can sympathize, though, as you carry that burden to accept you back. It's easier to do. They don't do that if you just say, "I didn't do it, it wasn't me. And then they still think, "Well, it was you." So now not only did you do it, but then you lied about it.
I mean, I think it just goes to show that Shaggy wasn't right in that case. You can't just say it wasn't me.
Exactly.
I mean, so as we wrap up,
hey, it wasn't me. Okay, maybe it wasn't
as we wrap up today's show, have you ever had the situation where you've had to confront somebody and they just made a bullshit excuse and you knew it was bullshit? Tell us about it. Hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, all at Liquid Carnage. If you want to give Tom, our EP, some springtime fun tips for his time up in Colorado, hit him up on Twitter and Instagram at liquid_EP.
Yeah, how timely. Scott, it's always weird, but it seems like for the most part, every week when we do these episodes, something happens in that week that spurs us to say, "Oh my gosh, let's talk about that because this just happened or that just happened."
Well, I think that we're just in a time where a lot of stupid shit's happening, so it gives us a lot of things to talk about because, the show is based on the fact that we wanted to be two guys having a conversation in a bar, and there's a lot of times I have a very similar conversation like this in the bar,
And yet we tried it 3 times now, and all 3 times the episode has been a total not
failure.
Good episode.
Yeah.
So we don't drink, people. We do not drink. We might drink afterwards, but we don't drink. We don't drink recording because the times we've done it 3 or 4 times, and it has always been either unusable or we put it on and then had to take it right off because it just didn't go good.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but we learned our lessons. We owned our mistakes.
We owned our mistakes. Wow, what a great way to end the podcast.
I agree. Take us home, brother.
Hey, thanks for listening, everyone. Reach out to us. That was Scott. I am Jason. And as always, if you never know quite what to say, just have yourself some liquid carnage.